Well, good day, everybody. Welcome to The Road Traveled, which is a travel webcast. We're so happy to have you with us today. Let's get some introductions out of the way. I'm Judy Adams with World Travel Service. I'm a leisure travel advisor, and I'm so happy to have with me my partner, Melissa from abetterviewtravel. We're so welcoming today of Aaron Toole, the PR manager for the Outer Banks Visitors Bureau. And today we are going to learn all the really cool things about the Outer Banks. So let's Outer Banks, Melissa.
Great. Thank you, Judy and Aaron. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank
you for having me.
Can you just kind of tell us where the Outer Banks are? Because not everybody probably knows. I, having just visited there, know where they are, but.
You found us. All right. So the Outer Banks of North Carolina as a travel destination that most people think of, that I thought of growing up in North Carolina, is about 130 miles that begins at the North Carolina state line, just south of Virginia, and it goes down south 130 miles. So I tell people it's like the top half of the North Carolina coast. And the islands themselves that you see here have small towns, tiny villages, and hamlets. And the islands are about a mile wide to much less. So it's a really neat, Cape Hatteras is one of our big geographic points. So if you're looking at a map of the United States, a lot of people kind of know where New York is and Manhattan, and then of course Florida and the Keys. And right between, like halfway between both of those places, the Outer Banks kind of pops out a little bit, just sort of north of the Chesapeake Bay. At the farthest distance from the North Carolina mainland, Cape Hatteras is roughly 30 miles out to sea. So, and that 30 miles is filled with a big body of water. We call it the Pamlico Sound, which is the second largest estuary on the East Coast. So it's comparable in size to the Chesapeake Bay. It's a little bit smaller and shallower, but it's pretty sizable.
Great. Where would you say a lot of visitors come from? I'm in the DMV region, so I know a lot of people from my area come and visit the Outer Banks.
Mm-hmm. Well, we get a lot of people. Of course, we have a lot of folks coming straight east from the interior of North Carolina. So Raleigh, the Triangle, Durham, Charlotte, even a little bit, and we get a lot of Virginia and that Virginia I-95 corridor coming down from New York. We got West Virginia, D.C., Maryland, Baltimore, New Jersey, and then a very sizable community comes from Pennsylvania and Ohio. So that's a big funnel that kind of leads people to these sliver of islands off the North Carolina coast, and they sort of come and go through this little corridor. And a lot of people even in the interior of North Carolina don't fully realize how popular that we can be with the rest of the nation.
Great. As I was just visiting 2 weeks ago, and some stores were starting to open. The hotel, I had all my towels. They didn't come clean the room. Restaurants were takeaway. Can you give us any update on what's opening? What are some of the next steps that are going to be happening?
Sure. So we're currently in phase 2, which I believe began on May 22nd, and will continue through a good part of June until further notice. But right now, all of in general, what's open, the national and state parks, wildlife refuges, our beaches, our restaurants are open at about 50% indoor capacity, but they're also doing carry out and take out and delivery in some cases. The salons, barber shops, our camps, and then there's, of course, our accommodations are open. And what's closed, we have some of our children's playgrounds or town playgrounds, the nightclubs, bars, the gyms, indoor fitness centers, and entertainment venues. So you can expect to have a really good vacation on the Outer Banks, particularly if you're sort of sensitive and traveling smartly with, we're in the current, the COVID-19 era. We all want to take vacation. We've been holed up for almost 2 months, wherever you are, but the coronavirus doesn't take a vacation. So we're, encouraging people to, there's 3 W's to wait in line, 6 feet apart, wear your masks whenever possible, and wash your hands very thoroughly and often. If you like, I can kind of go into the,
I was going to say, you have a lot of outdoor activities, fishing, golf, the beach, so those are all open for guests.
Absolutely. There's lots of, the Outer Banks has long had a reputation for being a place, even before social distancing was cool, where people would come out of the city and suburbs to beaches that aren't crowded. And, in fact, the Cape Hatteras National Seashore, it's one of our 3 national parks or national park sites. It was America's first national seashore. It was opened in 1953. It's the largest tract of undeveloped beaches in the eastern United States that you can easily visit by car, minivan, motorcycle, however you get here. It's about 70 miles long, home to the tallest lighthouse in the United States, Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, and there's the Body Island Lighthouse. Now, I will say that the lighthouses themselves, there we go. That's the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, and that's a sort of a snapshot of a typical beach on the Outer Banks. We're, as you probably saw, we have, we're one of the largest, if not the largest, one of the largest vacation rental destinations in the United States. It makes up about 80% of our lodging. We do have a mix of brand points and independent hotels, some really great, B&Bs and inns, camping, of course, condos, and but the lion's share of lodging experience is our vacation rental homes, and they have taken extra steps to make sure that their employees are safe and that especially their guests are safe in this sort of new vacation era. So, they do really good deep cleans between, families visiting. And one of the big draws is that you can literally drive down from wherever you come from, or DC or whomever. You're controlling the environment of who's in that car with you, where you stop and get out, how you wash your hands or sanitize between going to the gas pump or the restroom or what have you. And there's generally keyless entry on a lot of vacation homes. So digital transactions, you get to the house, and from your house to ours, you can have a really minimized exposure to the rest of the greater public. And then you kind of have this big house to yourself, and some people are choosing to go behind the cleaning crews and clean it to their own liking, and then for that whole week, you're living like you would at your own house with the beach right up in front of you. So that's been several pluses for those people who are kind of feeling a little trepidation this summer, but want to get out and have a good time with their family.
Aaron, I took a stroll along the Duck Boardwalk, and I saw some of the restaurants that are going to be opening along the waterfront there. What are some of your favorite restaurants? What are some recommendations that our guests should go and visit?
Sure. Duck is fantastic. They've got such a high caliber of dining experience, from seafood dives to a little more fine dining, all in a very short space. So along the boardwalk, we've got one of my favorite ones. It's called the Blue Point. We recommend making a reservation. This place is in the company of but a few beautiful water views of the Currituck Sound. They've got you can eat outside. They got a beer bar in the back. super fun. Chef Sam again and the co-owner John Power have turned the place into like a really local legend, and very creative food construction. I think one of my favorite things that they do right now, we've got soft shells in season, so soft shell crabs. You got a few more weeks of that. They're lightly sauteed, and then like they have an appetizer that they make seasonally is like little duck drumettes, which are pretty fantastic. And then he does an awesome shrimp tasso ham. Aqua restaurant, which is kind of a neat concept. So they've got like a spa upstairs in the restaurant, and downstairs is, of course, a nice restaurant, super deep wine menu. They've got a corn and crab chowder soup that is, I swear I could eat out of a dirty flower pot. It is so delicious. And they've also got waterside views, and they're sort of at the other end of Duck than the Blue Point. Red Sky Cafe, so Chef West Step. It's a good friend of mine. He goes on television a lot. He's like a healthy cooking chef. He's authored a couple books. He's got 2 restaurants. There's one's the NC Coast Grill, and then there's the Red Sky Cafe. And he takes traditional fried or broiled dishes that you might have grown up with and turns them into sort of healthy choice meals. So if you want something light or fun or creative, and one of the things that I like there in particular that you might find in different restaurants are fish tacos. So that's kind of like the mascot food, or fish tacos, and made with local ingredients. And he does them really well, usually with mahi or the fresh fish that's available that week.
So, and I live in Northern Virginia, and here we have Duck Donuts. Duck Donuts is originally from your region, is it not?
It was born and deep fried in Duck, North Carolina. I think it was the first location, and it's grown to be one of the fastest growing franchises in the United States, and it's pretty awesome. There's several locations on the Outer Banks now. It tastes, to me, once you have a Duck donut, the rest just don't compare anymore, but they're made right in front of you. They're super hot, and then you can go on a menu board and customize the dozen or just the 2 or 1 that you want to have that morning, and they last really good. But they're never better than they are, right out of the hopper. A lot of an idea we do with groups is you get a dozen or 2 dozen. And, you might get them all different or mostly different. And then we kind of cut them into 4s so everyone can kind of sample and share on forks or napkins or what have you. And that's a fun way to kind of taste test through the whole restaurant.
What is the peak season for the Outer Banks? Now is very popular.
Yeah. So we have a first big bump at Easter, and Easter kind of floats, between March and April. And then you'll get a little dip, and that's sort of like our yawning stretch is right there at Easter. When, hey, let's get the sleepy out of our eyes. It's time to drink the coffee. And then it kind of goes down and builds back up to Memorial Day. And then it sort of plateaus a little bit, price-wise, and then like July 4th on through like the second week of August. At about 6 weeks there, you're at sort of premium pricing for booking, and then it starts to taper off a little bit. And then after Labor Day, between Labor Day and October, you can really, get some great values for a fall vacation also. Sometimes in, 30, 40, 50% off of the same house that you would have in July or August. So, and the fall is one of our, I don't know if it's a best kept secret, or if you have the luxury of traveling in the fall and you're not beholden to like a public school schedule, calendar, that kind of thing. It's a great time to visit. Again, the big families are back at home, and it kind of all the attractions and the beaches, and the water's still warm, everything's still running smooth. It's just a little bit less crowded. And then you have like usually like an older an older demographic, like a lot of boomers come in, as well as and for the younger folks, you get millennials who have flexible schedules, and it's make for a great 3-day weekend or long weekend drive down from Northern Virginia, and that's our bread and butter.
If somebody
keep the
wanted
lights
to
on for us.
come over the holidays, are things still open? They want to have a nice quiet retreat. Say
Yeah,
December, January.
Yes. I mean, Thanksgiving, we get like a really nice pop at Thanksgiving. And it took me a while. I've lived here. I've lived in North Carolina my whole life, and I've lived on the Outer Banks close to 20 years now. And, I get, the older I get, the more I get the appeal of Thanksgiving on the coast. You've got these houses that are super great value, that the older that we get, and as America, our culture changes, families are moving farther and farther apart from each other for work or for marriages or what have you. And so we're right smack in the middle of the East Coast. We're halfway from everywhere this side of the Mississippi River. And it's a great way to kind of enjoy. And a lot of these homes are can be nicer than the ones you have at your own house. Some of them come with double kitchens, game rooms, in-home theaters, pools, and that kind of thing. And the beach is super fun to run and play and enjoy. Kind of, you get the feeling like it's all to yourself, and for all those reasons. And there's something going on every weekend. We have a promotion, OBXmas weekends. There's something going on every weekend from Thanksgiving through the 1st of July. And the Elizabethan Gardens, for one, is one of the better ones. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I saw the Elizabethan Gardens online. They look absolutely fabulous. I love walking around and stuff like that. Hey, listen, Aaron, you are super, super knowledgeable about the Outer Banks. And I have to be honest, I did not know a lot about the Outer Banks. I'm from Michigan, so I'd never heard of it, especially growing up in the Great Lakes. But I'm trying to get there, and I think you've already convinced me to do it at Thanksgiving. It sounds absolutely fabulous.
Well, I hope so.
We're so grateful that you were able to join us today. The Outer Banks just seems like a place for everybody, and we appreciate you so much. We're going to wrap it up and say, if you are interested in planning a trip to the Outer Banks and you're listening to this, please reach out to Melissa or Judy, whoever your leisure travel advisor is. And we would love to help you plan a trip to this destination. Aaron, thanks so much. And I hope everybody has a day. Melissa, take it away. You can end the video.
Great. Thank you so much, Aaron. We greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.